This is the baptism of identification. This is following Yeshua in whatever course it takes us, no matter what it means, because you've already died. You are not your own. You belong to him. When we were baptized, immersed into Yeshua, Messiah, we were baptized, we were immersed into his death. We were dead and buried with him. We were thereby buried with him by baptism into his death. So like as Messiah was raised from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we should also walk in newness of life. For if we have been planted together, and that's a picture, planted together, dead, buried in the grave, in the likeness of his death, we shall also be raised in the likeness of his resurrection. That is the promise. The shadow picture of going into the grave and coming out is that we are identifying with him, and if he wasn't raised from the dead, we are dead. We're gone. It's all over. We are identifying fully with Yeshua, with his death. And if God didn't raise him from the dead, it's all over for us. We are not depending upon our adherence to rabbinic takanot or a repeat after me prayer or any other such nonsense or being reincarnated or any other bizarre thing. We are identifying with Yeshua. He is the prophet, and if he's not the prophet, we're dead and we're willingly die with him. In Philippians chapter 3, he goes on, I count all my worldly accomplishments, all that I have lost, but dung, so that I may gain Messiah, and the righteousness which is from God by faith, by believing action. And that I may know him, that I may know Yeshua, and the power of his resurrection, and the fellowship of his sufferings. This is the baptism of suffering again. We are guaranteed the baptism of suffering. If we go down into that water, if we've been planted with him to walk in a new life, we are going to be conformed to his very image. We are going to do what he did. We are going to be his hands and feet. We are going to enjoy, figure of speech, the fellowship of his sufferings. But see, when you are persecuted for doing that which is right, the fellowship that we have with Yeshua cannot be compared to any joy that is available in this life. To know the fellowship of his suffering. And those who have not suffered have not known that fellowship. Paul went on to say, relinquishing myself, even to die the same death that he died, that I may attain the resurrection. He's speaking of the first resurrection of the dead, not the last resurrection. The first resurrection, the resurrection of those who are in Messiah, who will be raised from the dead and given a new glorious body. I do not consider that I have attained, and this is what he goes on to say, I do not consider that I've already attained the perfection required for that first resurrection. I am still in pursuit of that perfection, for which I am also desiring to manifest Messiah Yeshua, to be like him, to grow up into the fullness and stature of Messiah, even if it means my death. Brethren, I count not myself to have attained that first resurrection. I don't count myself that I have done what is necessary to be in him, to be gathered together at that first resurrection. I don't think that I have made it. I don't live like, oh, I did a repeat after me prayer and now I'm going to heaven. I don't act like that. I don't live like that. This one thing I do, I forget those things that are behind. They were behind. I was dead. I was buried in Messiah. The water washed over me. It's behind me. All those things that I did, all the glory, and sitting at the feet of Gamaliel, being more zealous for the Torah than any of my peers, all the brilliance that I had, the power that I had, the glory, the wealth that I had. And then the authority that I was given to kill and to imprison others who believed in Yeshua. I put all those things behind. And I'm reaching forward to those things which are before. I am pressing on toward the mark of the prize of this high calling of God in Messiah Yeshua. Therefore, he said, let us, as many as desire to be perfected, as desire to grow up into the fullness and stature of Messiah, be thus minded. Don't think that you've already made it. Just press on. Forget all the things you've done in the past. Press on. Because until you hit the finish line, you haven't made it. You continue to confess that Yeshua is Lord. And if in anything you are otherwise minded, God is going to even reveal this to you. He'll let you know that if you're off mark, if you're really pressing in to know him, if you are with all your heart hearing and obeying him, he is going to give you even more. And even more, he is going to bring in the baptism of suffering and the baptism of fire, in which he torches all those things that are in the past. He burns up all the unnecessary things in our life. This is the baptism of identification. This is following Yeshua in whatever course it takes us, no matter what it means, because you've already died. You are not your own. You belong to him. Shalom, Torah fans. Give this video a thumbs up and share it with a friend. Tap the subscription button and the bell icon, and I promise to update weekly with in-depth biblical research. Be sure to download the new michaelrood.tv app for both mobile and home devices for even more commercial-free content.